I officially welcome you all to the 14th Annual Friends Forever International Annual Dinner and Roast honoring Elisabeth Robinson. I want to thank the past honorees who are in the room, Jay McSherry, who's up here, Chris Dwyer, Janet Prince, and Peter, her husband, who's not here, Bobby Sweet, of course. Hey, Bobby. Peter Laughlin and Tom Farini, a very good representation of our past honorees. And I think it's really appropriate at this moment in time to remember our dear friend Maxine Morse, who was an honoree in 2013. Maxine was a great friend of Elisabeth's, and she'd be very pleased that Elisabeth was receiving this award. But I have to say, for those of you who knew Maxine, that she's probably looking down with her eagle eye and pointing out a few things that Steve Martineau undoubtedly has done wrong, including not having any hors d'oeuvres. And she's undoubtedly making some suggestions on the table seatings. In the early days of this event, Maxine would make sure that every table was planned out like a political dinner party. So if you're sitting next to somebody that you don't like, Maxine wasn't here to make sure that it didn't happen that way. Bless Maxine. She was a wonderful friend and a great lady, and we miss her badly. I want to thank all of the sponsors. Remarkable success for this event. Bobby Sweet, Chris Dwyer and Mike Huxtable, Dan and Renee Plummer, David Hills and Catherine McLaughlin Hills, Elisabeth, Flatbread Company, Brooke Glassner and Jay Gould, Jeff and Martha Fuller Clark, Jay and Amanda McSherry and Jay Group, the Frenches, myself and Priscilla, Jessica and Paul McKeon, Jim and Sandra Jalbert, Joe Lamprey, the Music Hall Board, Neil and Darlene Olette, Malloy Events, and Wentworth by the Sea Country Club. So thank you all. Give them all a hand. We'd also like to thank Jim Carroll from Fields of Vision for his time and effort in creating some amazingly well-done videos that you'll be seeing tonight. I would like to take a moment now and reflect on the namesake of the award, Eileen Dondero Foley. It's always one of my greatest pleasures to remember my dear friend Eileen and what she did for our city and our state, and for so many people in our community and throughout the world through her great engagement and championship of the Sister Cities program that Portsmouth was such an active member of. Like Elisabeth, Eileen was the ultimate people person. She cared about everyone and was always ready to help out a stranger as readily as a lifelong friend. I'm certain that Eileen would be thrilled with Friends Forever International 2021 and how we've adapted our programs to American young people. Eileen mentored, encouraged young people, including me some 43 years ago when I first came to live in Portsmouth. I'll always be grateful to that. At this point, I will officially invite Eileen, young Eileen and Barry to come up, and we're going to present Elisabeth with the award after I make a few comments, and then we will take a break and go for the next stage of this thing. So Eileen and Barry are going to come up, and it's really a fabulous thing because this box, I guess I should start out by saying that we have had the pleasure, despite these times, of having with us some Palestinian alumni from Israel that have been there this summer volunteering and working at the office and in the community. Two of them recently graduated from a Waldorf Academy in Israel. and they spent several weeks building this award, which serves as a case for Elisabeth's stethoscope. And we have 3 alumni in the room, and I'd like to have all the alumni who are here stand up and just wave your hand up so you can make sure they know them. Besides the 3 from Israel, we have alumni from Rochester, from East Kingston, and one from New Orleans, who you'll hear from later. So that's wonderful. But this wonderful box, I have to say with a certain amount of pride, has Northland Forest Products curly maple on the top, but it was made by Maurice and Dima, and lovely dovetails. And inside, it says, Friends Forever International proudly presents the 2021 Eileen Foley Award to Elisabeth Robinson.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here this evening. My name is Eileen Marusik, and I'm the granddaughter of Eileen Foley. Behind me, I have my father, and out back I have my aunt, Aunt Mary Carey Foley. The Foley family and Friends Forever International is excited and honored to present the 2021 Eileen Dondero Foley Award to Elisabeth Robinson.
So I get to say a couple of nice things about Elisabeth, and then we will have our salad, and we'll move on to the next thing. So, I first met Elisabeth decades ago when she was selling lemonade from a food truck type of stand in Prescott Park. She was an entrepreneur and a skilled salesperson. It came naturally. Kind, thoughtful, remembering names, your kids' names, the dogs' names, the jobs of her regulars, and charming all the visitors from out of town. I'm guessing quite a few others met her here. Let's see a show of hands. Who knew Elisabeth when she was selling lemonade in Prescott Park? A few, just a few, not too many, I'm surprised. And then later, lots of people met her through the Waldorf School when she was a founder, and their kids were there and everything else, so lots of people there. Nursing, volunteering, board service, or as a caring and giving friend and neighbor. She ranks among the best fundraisers in town. Amazing success giving the Music Hall and Prescott Park Arts Festival record-setting corporate support year after year. I get teased about people walking across the street if they see me coming with my hand out. With Elisabeth, they run. She is always full of creative ideas and ways to get new people involved in organizations she cares about. She has a gold-plated contact list and thousands of relationships she cares about. How she keeps them straight, I do not know. But she uses those relationships not only for the organizations, but also for the people that need help, support, or friendship. On top of that, she's a devoted mother, daughter, sibling, and niece. I think Eileen Foley would be very, very proud that Elisabeth Robinson has received this award. I guess I'm keeping going here, Steve. The salads, I didn't get to eat mine. All right, tonight we are here to honor Elisabeth, but she has agreed to all this because of the support, and the support from all your sponsorships and donations will go toward Friends Forever. Friends Forever International is in its 35th year of empowering young leaders to connect, strengthen, and serve communities around the globe by combining their passion to make the world a better place with the skills, experiences, resources required to do so. It's amazing that this organization has been around for nearly 4 decades and is still so unknown in the Seacoast and the state. Hopefully after tonight, all of you will be able to share the mission of Friends Forever International with friends and family. We're especially delighted that many of you have not been here to one of our events before, and we thank Elisabeth for getting you here. While Friends Forever International is normally known for our work in the areas of conflict around the globe, like in Northern Ireland and Israel, in the last several years, we have begun to focus on bringing our program that teaches empathy-based leadership skills right here in the United States. There's a video we're about to see that includes participants of this summer's Pilot USA national program who will talk about the impact that FFI has had on them. We'll now show the video while I have my salad.
I'm already pretty okay with talking to people and being social, and I thought it was going to be easier for me. Definitely not. I learned a lot about myself.
Not only was I able to become really great friends with all of the other participants, but I was also able to meet alumni and become friends with them and really see the heart of the program.
Sometimes when I travel and I go to an unfamiliar place, there's a disconnect between where I am and where my headspace is. But here I just feel at home. And these people, I know them. I can't ever imagine not knowing them. It's so normal. It's beautiful.
It was personal, and a lot of things were challenged by choice. We were free to express how we felt about certain things before we did them. We were free to add things to whatever we were doing.
A program that allows me to branch out and meet so many new people and gain experiences that I never thought I'd have before. I would definitely describe it as life-changing.
The question gets asked a lot, what's going on with Friends Forever International? What is FFI up to now? So much of our work has been based on the concept of bringing young people from around the world here. We said, okay, international trips are not going to happen right now. What can we do?
It was kind of the opportunity that COVID gave us to connect beyond borders, states, in person, countries, all of different things, and design a program that's probably one of the most diverse programs we've ever done.
So when we decided to work with young people here from across the US, we just were going directly to them. We weren't going through schools anymore because schools were shut down. We ended up getting young people from a dozen different states, and bringing in all these different people was really exciting.
We ended up with a great pool of young people. They all were so insightful and so willing to do whatever it took to get the skills that they wanted.
We've become a leadership program that's focused on empathy as the driving force to the leadership.
And it was the first time that our alumni were our leaders for our team.
The effect on kids from the US this summer was absolutely transformational. Above all else, they rated the engagement of the alumni as their leaders as the #1 component to why they achieved what they did.
And we're finding that they really want to stay involved with Friends Forever. They want to continue this relationship and they want to do whatever they can to really elevate the United States Alumni Friends Forever program.
There are people sometimes on the street that see our shirts and, they'll ask, what is Friends Forever International? And, we explain it's a leadership program. It's a way for you to learn more about yourself and public speaking and really coming into your own. But in order for people to really grasp the full scope of it, you really have to throw yourself into it.
Some of the stuff, like how hard it was, surprised me. I didn't think the hike was going to be that hard, but it turned out to be pretty challenging. I feel like I have improved on my communication skills. Feel like I've been able to lead a group, and then they've done more challenging me as well.
I feel like I can make more of an impact in my school and my community. I was already involved before, but now I feel like I can be even more involved and meaningfully.
Even just through interviewing for this and hanging out with everyone here, I think I'm going to take that self-confidence back to my clubs and student council, and I think I'll be able to speak up more.
A lot of experiences are just kind of based around where you place yourself and where you want to be, and to be in gorgeous nature, meet amazing people, and I think that was definitely how I changed, because I thought I was just going to be here just to have another program under my belt.
I have learned to not doubt myself. I'm going to use that to be involved in my community and fight for what I want and what I want for the world and the future generations to come, and I'm just really excited for the future.
It really taught me how to just open myself up and share my feelings.
It's just really important to me to have a sense of community behind you while you're doing community work and community activism. So I'm definitely going to bring that back, and also the confidence that I now have after being in this group is something that I think is powerful enough to change a community.
So, maybe a good thing that comes out of COVID is our ability to do this American program, which has been hugely, hugely successful, and we look forward to doing more of them. I would now like to introduce Steve Martineau, who's the Executive Director of Friends Forever. Normally, I say a few words about Steve and make a couple of bad jokes at his expense, and then, of course, praise his leadership and vision, et cetera, et cetera. Steve hates public recognition, although he deserves a great deal. But this year, I think Steve and I also believe very strongly that it's important to emphasize the team, the incredible team that's operating at FFI. The staff, the alumni, and of course the board have worked tirelessly over the last 18 months as we pivoted in the face of pandemic and created a whole new program to serve youth across the United States, including 12 different states that you see represented. Do we see those represented? Around tonight. We renovated our campus in Northern Ireland, and we also, and this is pretty amazing, people will be floored by this, we have been certified by the State of New Hampshire Department of Education to provide high school credits for New Hampshire students that participate in our programs. I think that is really a big deal, and I think we need to really push that. I'm continuously impressed by the dedication, passion, and professionalism of the staff toward improving the lives of each and every young person they meet, both during our program and for the rest of their lives as alumni. And we now have close to 2,000 alumni in Northern Ireland and hundreds in Israel. So let's give a big hand to Steve and the other team members that make Friends Forever International happen. And now I'll turn it over to Steve.
Hello, everybody. Fluorescent lights buzzing. Sitting bare-shouldered, barefoot, bare-assed, in a tissue paper smock. Undignified, vulnerable, and alone with regrets, anxiety, and fears. No, I'm not waiting for Jamie French to give my annual performance review. It's the medical examination room. For the last 18 months, it sometimes feels like our nation has been in an exam room, both metaphorically and literally. And the stress that we normally reserve for our hopefully few visits to the doctors has become incessant. Stress predates the pandemic for many people and for many reasons. Yet it seems in recent years, that we are bombarded daily with images, sound bites, and articles meant to inflame our emotions and give us addictive, endorphin-boosting zaps of self-righteous rage. In the fight for our clicks and votes, we are being conditioned to believe that our suffering is caused by the other, with the other taking the form of as many identities that comprise our wondrous human prism. Instead, we should be taught that suffering is a natural function of the lived experience. But sadly, our pain is often used by those in power or in search of power to build their army, their tribe. And whether we realize it or not, all of us are being pushed every moment to enlist in one tribe or another. We are constantly being manipulated into judging everyone, not only by their gender, skin color, and faith, but by their education level, profession, diet, whom they voted for. The list goes on and on. When we unconsciously categorize our fellow humans, regardless of with bad or good intention, we are practicing division. Each act of judgment erodes our ability to unite, to listen, and to heal. And it builds a narrative of us versus them. In my role with Friends Forever, I've had the unhappy privilege to be in civilized parts of the world where these internal verbal narratives taking place in one's heart transform into actual walls around one's home. And these walls go up a lot more quickly than they come down. Walking through Belfast, Kampala, and Jerusalem, I have seen these walls constructed of a variety of materials and stone, yet the mortar holding them together is always fear. We fear those we do not understand, and we cannot understand those we will not listen to. Seeking to understand is not a sign of weakness, but one of strength. It does not compromise your values to empathize with someone whom you despise. It creates a unique opportunity to travel together on even the slimmest of veins of common humanity. Because at its most fundamental level, the act of listening is the act of healing. At FFI, this approach has led to thousands of instances of reconciliation. We teach youth how to evolve beyond our fight and flight instinct when we are confronted by those we do not understand and whom we fear, and to instead consciously develop a new habit to just breathe and listen. And not listening in the modern sense of a frustrating series of moments of keeping your mouth politely shut while you inwardly prepare to reply in a demonstration of your rightness, but listening with the intention of retrieving information so that you can temporarily live in the human shoes you are seeing and hearing and just imagine their why. Truly listening to everyone without bias and with total empathy. This is what nurses do daily and what we must do if we want to heal our nation and ourselves. When we are injured or experiencing illness, we don't reflexively punish, ignore, or amputate the organ or limb that is causing us pain. Of course not. It's a part of our body. We treat, nurture, and listen to it. Why should our society be any different? Imagine the disarming impact on your enemy if they felt you to listen to them. Might they not shed some of the emotional armor they have accumulated over the years? And what does the shedding of this armor indicate? That for today, peace is closer than war. Our nation needs healers. We need to listen daily with our eyes, ears, and hearts to those we encounter. We will build a better world when individuals like Eileen, Amy, and the alumni and participants you see on the walls around you are the rule rather than the exception. when we follow leaders that are focused on the natural art of healing as opposed to the dark art of division. But all of us must overcome our tendency to self-medicate our anxiety through inhabiting echo chambers of anger and self-righteousness, and instead venture out into the quiet fields of non-judgment and understanding. This is possible. We live it every day at Friends Forever. We are all living it here tonight as we come here together in celebration of this healer in our midst, Elisabeth. Sitting almost naked and alone, a light knock on the door quietly opens. A gentle smile in the nurse's eyes begins to thaw the cold fist in our guts. She is a skilled healer, a skilled listener. She softly places her stethoscope on our heart and simply asks us to take a deep breath and tell her where it hurts. We know that everything will be okay. Thank you, Elisabeth.
Second half of the program, the roasting is yet to come, and I promise that things will be over not too late. We have a drop-dead time because the heat plays at 10. So everybody in the Robinson clan has to be home for that game. So, but the bar is going to be open from 9 till 9:30. So after the dinner, if everybody wants to socialize a bit more and have another drink, we'll certainly do that after the roast. So now to get back to more serious things, I would like to introduce Amy Najai. And Amy has been one of our participants from this summer, and she's from New Orleans, and she's currently a freshman at the University of Michigan. I don't know if Elisabeth knew that. She's a graduate of our nationwide program, and this year she completed virtual sessions focused on communication, identity, and public speaking with her team from across the United States, a part of our pilot virtual program. The program went so well and the team put so much effort in that we decided to bring them to Durham for a week for a skill-building trip. After learning how to connect with communities to create positive change, Amy began her freshman year at college, where she has a goal to make a difference in the community there. FFI chose to award Amy with the 2021 Eileen Dondero Foley Fellowship for her commitment to uplifting others to create an impact beyond what can do alone. She will be working on social action programs in her community, as well as helping plan future alumni programs for Friends Forever. And now we'll hear from Amy about her story and how the FFI programs have impacted her. Here's Amy.
Hello, everyone. So, when I think back on myself 10 years ago, I remember thinking that my life was over. I was only 8 years old when the police raided my home as I sobbed and whimpered on my front porch. They then piled me and my siblings in the back seats of police cars that were built like cages. I had no idea what was happening. I just knew that they were taking me away from my home, they were taking me away from my mom, and I was yearning to go back. When I went into the foster care system, I didn't know how the state could claim that they owned me. I only began to understand when I was older and long out of the system. It was apparent after a judge had reviewed our case that if it weren't for my school principal and her husband, who was an officer leading this theft, I'd still have a normal life with my mom. I came from a blatantly racist elementary school in Kansas, where my 7 siblings and I were essentially the only black students. This school was ultimately the reason for the successful wreckage of my childhood with my mother and the loss of many familial connections. In the system, I was split from my sisters, and then my brothers, and then I was told to be thankful and grateful to be placed back with some of my sisters. Over a year and a half, I went through multiple foster homes, some friendly, but most mentally, verbally, and physically abusive. This system, which was supposed to foster care, actually fostered hate. As my time in the system dragged on, I felt that I had no control over my life. I felt that I had no control over my story. This system did, however, bring me closer to my dad, which was something quite unexpected. When I was placed with him in New Orleans when I was nearly 10, I decided that I never wanted to be in a situation again where I felt worthless or unstable. So I made school a priority. I understood that they could take my home, they could perhaps call me worthless, but they could never take away my education. That was the one consistent thing I had in my life, that any guardian I had, it didn't matter who, was required by law to put me in school. So I began taking pride in my education, working as hard as possible to ensure that I had opportunities in the future that would allow me to take back control of my life. Through this, I realized that I actually love school. I love learning, and I love teaching others. When I got more involved in my New Orleans community through different outreach and advocacy organizations, I was able to do what I love, both teach other people and learn for myself. I found a passion, working on different teams to achieve a vision for a project and engaging and learning from diverse people along the way. For example, I've been a part of a community garden since I moved to New Orleans that has enabled me to teach others about food systems and food sovereignty. But it's not just the ability to share what I know that keeps me at this garden. It's the people, the community that is just so loving. This is what I treasure about my community work. When I found the Friends Forever program at age 17, I was at a point in my life where I was recovering from multiple life-changing events and milestones, and I wanted to find something that would help me learn about team building and really discover who I am and what I value. So I searched for programs that would allow me to really come into my own as I start the next chapter in my life. I searched for programs that would allow me to become a better leader. I searched for a program that was not targeted at high school students for the sole purpose of allowing them to put it on a college application as just another extracurricular activity. I was searching for something that would stay with me forever. So, when I found the Friends Forever program, I was almost shocked that it existed. Shocked that something focused on youth was about improvement, exploration, and vulnerability, instead of just telling them who they should be and what they should be doing. Upon the start of a unique application, I knew that I had to be a part of this organization. Every minute of the program, I learned something new, a new method of communicating, a new way of understanding different perspectives, a new way of bringing out my creative side. And FFI has not only allowed me to further my education in a new way, it has provided me with another place that I can call home. The people at FFI are so welcoming and so warm. And as a hugger, it was very frustrating this past year being on Zoom for 18 sessions, creating forever bonds with forever friends and not being able to reach out and give them a squeeze. So, when I found out that we were going to come to the FFI campus here in New Hampshire in July, I was overly thrilled. This group has helped me grow in ways that I didn't think possible. I've learned to be less serious and more free, like when I did an entire improv session about toes. I've learned to step back and share the space so that others can explore their leadership styles. I've learned to be more open and vulnerable, like when we learned more about our history and our story of self. After this program, I was able to bring what I've learned to my different organizations. Now I bring reflection sessions and debrief to each workshop that I help host. I introduced team decision-making processes, what we call wish banking, to my STEM outreach events so that all team members are heard. Now, not only am I better able to listen to the people I'm working with, but they are better listeners themselves. Now that I'm a part of the alumni movement, I am so eager to meet future participants and watch more students like me go through the program and realize its wonderful impact. This program has instilled in me the primacy of self-love, friendship, and community. As I reflect on my experience at FFI, I am eternally grateful for the family it has given me. I am so happy that FFI is not a one-time thing. You aren't just a team for a week or two. Months later, I still look forward to debriefs and calls and messages from my team, other alumni, and staff. Now, when I'm feeling stressed, when the assignments are piling up, when I feel as though I will never understand valence electrons in chemistry, on those late nights, I stroke the friendship bracelet I'm wearing for my Orbit C3 team, and I feel a sense of relief. Remembering all that I have learned and experienced, I take a deep breath, and I appreciate the support of a team that I know is always there, always a phone call away. These are the moments at FFI that really make me feel the forever part. This is why I flew in late last night, so that I could be here and share these practices and values that I've learned at FFI in hopes that you will help me spread them to others, so that everyone can live their lives and the values of Friends Forever in their everyday lives. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Amy. What a strong message and what a story. I think Eileen Foley would be very proud of Amy. And I think you can all understand why we're very excited about growing our United States program in the years ahead. Because of leaders like Amy and others that were with us this summer, we've decided to provide 100% full scholarships to all the accepted participants that we directly recruit for our American programs, for all our programs. This will allow young people to participate without financial barriers. So your support here tonight will help us plan for 2022. And your long-term commitment to helping us raise an endowment will ensure that we can reach hundreds of youths annually for generations to come. Of course, Steve and I are always happy to talk to anybody about things they might want to do for Friends Forever. Learn more. And now you'll be very relieved that I'm passing the mic over to the guest MC for tonight, Mr. Tim Allison, to kick off the roast. Not quite sure where you're going to sit, but anyway. There are plenty of stories out there about Tim that would cause him to blush. But because he is a newlywed and his lovely bride, Estiot, is here in the audience, I'm sparing you some of the humor that I might have had about Tim. So here's my friend and fellow board member of FFI, who happens to have written some of the worst jokes I've tried to make during the last 8 years, as I've emceed this event. And I also suspect that he has undoubtedly dated many of you here tonight in some capacity or other. So, Mr. Tim Allison.
Good evening, everybody. We're going to get the show started. It's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate the introduction, Jamie. There is a little backstory to the dating thing, is that Elisabeth, when I met my wife, Esty, 4 or 5 years ago, Elisabeth and Esty were good friends, and Esty, she said to me early on, she said, I talked to Elisabeth the other day. She said you date a lot of women. And I went, what? I have a lot of lady friends, but I don't date a lot of women. I'm like, who's this Elisabeth Robinson telling me that I'm dating a lot of women? So anyways, we love you, Elisabeth. We are so grateful to have this room full of community and everybody here together. And so my goal is to ensure that you and I, remain friends forever in the morning. So that's my primary objective, and then we also want to be there for Jay McSherry in the morning, especially if he bombs tonight when he does his roast. So we love you, Jay. So this is going to be, Elisabeth did not get the message early on when she was going to be honored tonight. And so what ended up happening is Steve didn't connect with her in time, and so she asked like 17 people to roast her. So we've got a long evening. We'll have a bathroom break probably around 10:30 or so, and we've got sort of a hybrid slate of roasters. We got some people on video and some live. And our first roaster is actually pre-recorded. It's a dear friend of Elisabeth's, Francie Osgood, who was unable to be here tonight. And as Elisabeth told me via text just actually this morning, she's the one of the most natural, fun-loving, and devoted friends one can have. You can tell her anything, and she will drop everything and be there for you with insight, passion, and heart. So we will now hear from Francie Osgood.
Good evening. I'm Francie Osgood. I would like to first apologize for not being there tonight. But frankly, Friends Forever should have reached out like over a year ago if they were interested in live appearances from big names like Duncan and myself. Okay, clearly I'm not a big name. I'm in fact a very small name. Most of you probably have no idea who I am, and those that do are probably wondering, as was I, why me? Being one of Elisabeth's hundreds of friends hardly qualifies me, and the only thing I could think of was that Elisabeth probably thought that I would take it easier on her than some of her many more outspoken friends, and you know who you are. As much as I hate to play into her hands, I realize that it is hard to roast someone that you admire. How do I admire E? Let me count the ways. First, I admire her natural and unapologetic style. Take Marta's wedding. She was stunning in a elegant Mother of the Bride dress, paired with her everyday armful of bracelets. I mean, it does make you wonder, like, if those bracelets are federally mandated, that she has in like a Martha Stewart situation. Anyway, her hair was like, sweetly tied back and a little bit of makeup. And I was like, Elisabeth. And she's like, oh, this was a special request of the bride. And I thought, wow, if your daughter has to issue a special request to ensure that you at least like comb your hair before you walk down the aisle, that is some next level natural. And moms know that they're really like rocking their style when they make their kids uncomfortable. The night before the wedding, Elisabeth was wearing this silk tank top with some velvet piping, and I was like, that's gorgeous. And she said, oh, on the way over here, Eli said to me, Mom, are you really wearing your swimsuit to the rehearsal dinner? I love that Elisabeth brings this style to everything that she does, and her house is a perfect example. I once asked her how she gets it to reflect herself so well, and she said, I try and pick up a little piece of artwork or something from the places that I go. And I thought, that's a good idea. I'm gonna do that. But seeing as the last 3 places I went to are Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Lewiston, Maine, and Berlin, New Hampshire, where Elisabeth dragged me up a 4,000 footer, I realized this interior design plan is contingent on going cool places. And Elisabeth goes cool places. She's essentially like a backroads spokesperson at this point. The first time I was in that beautiful house was for her Easter egg making party. And I remember walking in and it was just like filled to capacity with, you know, incredible women and amazing food, and then just like tables and tables crowded with lit candles and molten wax and like vats and vats of permanent dye. Also, there was free-flowing alcohol, and made me wonder, like, what woman would like risk, you know, ruining their floors or having their house go up in flames for a night of arts and crafts. And that woman is Elisabeth Robinson, and I knew right then that I wanted to be her friend. So I made a point of becoming her friend, and it turns out that that has its perks. And one of them is that she just can make you feel really good about yourself, like especially if she's describing you to someone else. It's like she takes a couple facts, or I mean, they actually usually aren't even facts, and she puts them in this like exaggerating thesaurus, because she really likes to use big words, like we know. And out comes these like amazing descriptions. One time I overheard her at a party talking about this like unicorn of a person, and I was like, who is that? And you know, so I listened a little longer to try and figure it out, and I was like, Elisabeth, hold on. Are you talking about Scott right now? My husband? Okay. Well, that was an unbelievably flattering description of him. Emphasis on unbelievable. Flattering, yes. So flattering, in fact, I was thinking of developing an app, an Elisabeth app. I would just call it the E-app. And it would be like, if you needed a confidence boost, you would just play it, and it would be a recording of Elisabeth describing you. I realized that this app would need to come with a warning of some sort, like caution before downloading. Make sure to take this one question quiz. Have you ever crossed Elisabeth? I mean, I hope to never answer that question, yes, but if you had crossed her, chances are the results would not be confidence boosting. We all know that Elisabeth has a very relaxed relationship with the truth. One example is every time she describes our house to someone, she says they live on a ponderosa. I thought a ponderosa was like a pine tree or like this 70s Western TV show. Anyway, I do not even know what a ponderosa is, but what I do know is that it makes where we live sound cooler than it actually is. And there's a reason that she does that. She's still trying to make up for a comment she made 15 years ago. We were looking to buy a house, and I'll give you one guess as to what town she was suggesting we purchase our house in. And later, we had to tell her that we had bought this house in Portsmouth. She, and I quote, said, "It's nice, but it's not Newcastle." Elisabeth's hilarious candor. My husband has a habit of making up nicknames for people, and from that moment on, she was Queenie in our house, as in Queen of the Castle. Everyone admires Elisabeth's generosity. One time, when I had a bunch of family coming in town, Elisabeth was going to be away, so she opened up her entire house. And now, my brother gets to brag that he and his wife slept in Duncan Robinson's bed. Her vacations are also open door. My husband and I added a night to our anniversary trip to spend it with Elisabeth on Monhegan, where she was serving as the island's first dock on the rock. And if you don't know what that is, you should ask her, because it's cool. Speaking of docks, Elisabeth is our most convenient MD. She's saved us on numerous occasions. One occasion, I was with some women, and it came out that I was worried about a little personal, let's say, female situation. And Elisabeth pipes in and is like, "Oh, I'll take a look at that for you." And I was like, "I don't think so. I didn't know her very well." And she's like, "I'm a professional. Don't worry about it." she's also very persuasive. So somehow, like she helped me out. And let's just say after that, we knew each other a lot better, or she certainly knew me better. When I was thinking, like, should I include that in this or not? I was a little worried, like, what if someone asks Elisabeth about like the details of this embarrassing situation of mine? And I was like, nonsense. We all know Elisabeth is such a stickler about HIPAA. Another thing I love about Elisabeth is that she has impeccable manners. She is always on time, bearing lovely gifts, and you get a thank you note literally the next day. Like, she must send them before she even leaves for your house. There is one thing, however, that seems to act as like a kryptonite to her generosity and her good manners, and that is this. When this little thing is around, like, sometimes poof, that just disappears. The first time I played with Elisabeth in a match, we were at Hampshire Hills against a fiery ginger-haired woman named Red. And shortly into the match, Elisabeth and Red, I don't even know how to describe it. They had, just politely, I'll say, they had some differing interpretations of some events of the match, and I do not do well with conflict. And I was like, oh my God, where the hell did that nice woman Elisabeth go, and how soon can I get off this court? I'll end with what I believe is the worst thing about Elisabeth, and that is that once you know Elisabeth, you can no longer tell yourself that you are just too busy to make this world a better place. I know I'm not the only one who uses Elisabeth as a benchmark when asking themselves, like, am I too busy to sit on that board, to show up at a friend's fundraiser, to just help my community? Elisabeth, I really admire your hard work and humility, and it turns out that the worst thing about being your friend is also the best. I am honored to be part of this evening. I am more than blessed to call you my friend, and I hope that I still am, and enjoy your night. All right.
All right. Thank you, Francie Osgood. So next up, we have two high school friends, Robin McCausland and Alice Cole. And my understanding, I actually had a conversation with Marta earlier about the connection with these folks, and that basically your school, which I realized today is not Berkshire High School or Berkshire Academy, or what is it, Berkshire? Berkshire. So it's Berkshire. And so these two individuals, Elisabeth apparently really found herself at Berkshire. And my understanding is that Robin and Alice, they went to boarding school together. They're going to, as Elisabeth said to me, they were like sisters in the same dorm, and classes and teams and all of the above. Like everybody else at this particular school called Berkshire, we were miscreants. We broke every rule together without even questioning if we should do so or not. We had a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, and became very, very close in all our shenanigans. So I'd like to welcome Robin and Alice to share a few words. And Wallace. Should I have Wallace also be introduced? I should also, so this is a faux pas on my part, or actually Steve's, this is Wallace Cole.
Good evening. I was actually asked here tonight to introduce Alice. So Alice, would you come up, please? I do have a few things to say about Elisabeth first. I've gotten numerous emails from Steve detailing the format, content, and especially the duration of the speeches. He asked me what I was going to say a few times. I sent Steve my manuscript. He told me it might be a little long. I don't want to say that Elisabeth has a lot of baggage, but I got it down to about 35 minutes, and there'll be like a brief question and answer period afterwards in case any of you have anything to say.
That's enough out of you. All I want to say is we have to be really, really careful because we're spending the night at Elisabeth's, and you know how you can get on the wrong side of her, so we have to kind of be careful tonight.
Okay, I got the message. I think everyone here can agree that Elisabeth is a very caring, giving, successful, loving person, maybe even exceptionally so. However, that doesn't mean she doesn't have some personality quirks. I really got to know Elisabeth when she moved to California. Been very good friends with her brothers, and Alice, of course, had been Elisabeth's friend. After seeing Alice and I together briefly at a party, we had just talked to each other for like, I don't even know, like 40 seconds. Elisabeth decided that we would really be good for each other. The problem was that Alice and I were each in a relationship with other people, and they were like serious relationships. So we explained to Elisabeth that like we really weren't interested in like dating anybody else or anything. We were like, okay. But that really was not an answer that Elisabeth was willing to accept. So now, and we're not going to say that Elisabeth is like pushy or like, like has to have her way, but Alice and I have been married for like 40 years because we just figured like it was easier just to get married and stay together than it was to like argue with Elisabeth about whether we should be together or not. I just got a couple more. Don't worry, it's really not 40 minutes. After college, one of my friends, these are all true stories. One of my friends called me up, and knowing that I knew Elisabeth pretty well, told me that he was going to date her, and asked me what I thought about that. And I said, well, yeah, Elisabeth's great, but like you should probably be careful. And he's like, well, what do you mean be careful? And I said, well, Elisabeth's kind of like a cross between a Girl Scout and a Navy SEAL. She can be really nice, but like don't cross her too much, okay? This is the last one. Now, all these speeches have been really nice, but Elisabeth may have a few issues that actually, Steve, wherever he is, asked me to talk about this specifically. He said she may have some trust issues, and I know that these stem from her childhood because I know her brother, so I know how some of these issues might have originated. Early on, her brother Tad convinced her. You know this is a true story. Get ready. Convinced her that he could be trusted, and she believed him. And he began to teach her about the ways of the world and finance. He was an older, kind of a strong character. Problem started here when he had her convinced that since nickels were larger than dimes, they were actually worth more, so that she should trade him her dimes for the nickels, because he was doing her a favor, okay? This breach of trust is just some of the baggage that Elisabeth carries with her to this day.
Right.
But Elisabeth, you know that. All right.
It's my turn. Okay. All right, Elisabeth. I don't even know where to start. I'm not going to talk about, I promise, I'm not going to talk about when I was head proctor of Elisabeth's dorm, and I had to cover for all your illicit behaviors. And I'm not going to talk about the time you, Elisabeth, bullied me into going and convinced me, actually, to go to college in California. And I went with you, just following along. And as soon as we got out there, I turn around and you're already transferring back east to UNH. You left me there all alone. I didn't know anybody except for this guy. But what I am going to talk about tonight is math. Okay, we took several math classes together. I know you're going to remember this, where you needed a little extra attention. So I have to ask myself nowadays, when I look at your career and I look at everything you've accomplished, I find this bank board thing a little puzzling.
So do I.
I've been serving on a bank board for 20 years, and I sit on a nominating committee. And so what I'm having a hard time grasping is, Elisabeth, with your math background, how is a bank board an appropriate fit? I don't get it. But you know, Elisabeth, we love you, okay? And upon further reflection, I think perhaps that you were picked because you have been such a driving force in your community, a leader, in fact. And even though some of our stories appear to show seemingly undesirable characteristics, it is the evolution of these characteristics that have made you the most successful and philanthropic person that I know.
How's that work? Can you hear me? There we go. Well, so first, I'm Robin, and first of all, I say this is a really nice change to be looking down, because I'm usually the one looking up at everybody. Oh, right, we have slides. Great, hold on. All right, well, the slides will, oh, here we go, here she is. No. Well, okay, so I met Elisabeth sophomore year in high school. We went to Berkshire, a boarding school in Western Mass, and originally it was a boys' school, but it went co-ed a few years before we got there. She liked that. Our school literally sat at the base of a 2,200-foot mountain. Elisabeth's hiking mountains twice that size today. She's done 45 of the 48 in New Hampshire, or so she claims. Our school had the Appalachian Trail running across it, and it had cabins on it that the students had built and maintained and passed on their senior year to another student. And the mountain was our playground. Our social mecca. We hiked all over the place. We worked on the cabins. Oh, we need the cabin. There we go, sorry. Worked on the cabins and chopped wood and had tons of parties. And Elisabeth was really good at that. She even gets better at it with age. Hosting them, going to them, and then arranging for them to be given in her honor. Yeah, she's pretty good. And it was because of that outstanding quality of hers, she got to inherit, oops, that's okay, this is the party. She inherited this cabin. Okay. Hello. I'm missing a slide. I mean, like, Luke? I don't, there we go. So this is the cabin that Elisabeth inherited because she was so good at partying, but that was only one of the reasons. And it was because of that, right, she inherited this cabin. Of course, my notes are right here. Sorry. Can you give me a second here? Yeah, but it was challenging for her to inherit the cabin, not because she had to take care of the cabin or anything, but because she had to juggle all her classes and homework. so she could spend more time on the cabin. And also play her sports, because she really liked sports. Come on, clicker. There we go. Girls varsity field hockey team. Can you see her there? Okay. And then we have varsity basketball. Yeah. She did a pretty good job passing that trait down. Yeah, but she figured out how to fit it all in. Oh, wait a minute. She didn't try out for the tennis team in school. And she knew better because Alice and I would have pummeled her. But also her competitive juices hadn't fully risen to the top yet. And you could tell looking at her, she was not quite sure what she should do. Should she be cheering on or gritting her teeth? Yeah, but she figured out how to fit it all in, as I said. Here we go. So she chummied with the teachers. That's a teacher over there on the left. And Elisabeth would cram her studying in the hallways. We're having technical difficulties. Here we go. And she'd cram in her studies between the pipes and the bongs in the dorm room. And then also scribbling in the bong journal. Yeah. Okay. But she also snuck out of the dorm at night. Well, I don't know if that's her butt, but anyway, snuck out in the middle of the night with all of her friends, and we'd go up to the cabin. There we are. And we'd build fires up there, and we'd smoke and drink and eat bonbons. Whatever was up there, we would do. And the teachers rarely came up because, they just didn't. And if they did, they would carry these large flashlights, of course we could see them. And we just had to make sure that we put the fire out in time and got rid of all the paraphernalia. Well, another good quality of Elisabeth's. And that was actually the other reason why she inherited the cabin. She would just throw all the bongs, butts, bottles, beer, whatever it is in her knapsack. And then she would take her grande, not Starbucks, but her grande gin and tonic, and she would douse the fire out. And she still had time to make another one for the hike down. And it was those multitasking abilities that prepared her to serve on multiple boards today. She also snuck off campus without permission, which is grounds for probation. We would go to the local bar and play pool and drink beer in the back room. And if a teacher ever came in, we'd just run out the back door because the owner was on our side, of course. And sometimes we would sneak off campus without permission, and we would go to my mom's house. She traveled for work, so we had lots of parties there. Yeah. And so she took a lot of risks, Elisabeth, that had some serious consequences. But risks have rewards. And she was rewarded with great friends because that's what she is. And all those friends that were by her side back then are still by her side today. And even better, she can write us scripts for weed today. Come on. There we go. So I'd like you all to raise your glass or clicker and give a toast to Elisabeth, a remarkable woman with a heart of gold who keeps on giving. Thank you.
No, I'll take it down. All right, Robin, thank you. That was wonderful. And Alice, thank you. And Wallace, I neglected to extend the introduction to you, so I'm thinking we won't be friends forever because of that faux pas. But so our next family affair here is to hear from Bobby Sweet. We all know Bobby, and then from Hillary. So I'm going to let Bobby just stand up and say a few words right now.
I am Bobby Sweet. I'm Aunt Bobby. I first remember spending maybe a long weekend with Elisabeth and her family when she was maybe pushing 7, 6. And I invested an awful lot of time in trying to convince her that calling me Bobby Pin was not the soul of wit. Fast forward, there are still a few annoyances. I am duly informed every time there is a step in my future, sunlit or in the dusk. Any variation in the path of over 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/2 an inch or more, is duly reported to me in plenty of time, but I can handle it. She comes over on a regular basis. We spend a certain amount of time together. She has a running slate of irresistible not-for-profits for my consideration and support. She thanks early and often. She's family, she's my niece, but she's become my best friend.
Thank you, Bobby. And I have the pleasure now to introduce Elisabeth's younger sister, Hillary. And Bobby told me that Hillary was really, really popular when she was young, and so much so that in grade school she became so popular that I think apparently you were a little annoyed by it and became rebellious, and then Bobby said you have a little nickname called Hillary Hassel. Yep, so I thought I would throw that out there. And so I'll bring you Hillary Hassel.
Thanks for that, Bobby. You never called me that. That was my dad. He also said I should become a lawyer, but I didn't. But hello, everyone. Back there. Woo, 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 woo. Amy, that was beautiful. Your sharing moved me. And Stephen, your sharing really moved me as well. Seriously. And Robin, Alice, Wally. Stephen, to say something to you. If you ever email me again about my sharing, and I'm speaking for Robin, Marta, I think Jay's in too. I actually hadn't talked to Jay since Marta's wedding, and Jay came up to me, he's like, that's Stephen. He's like, oh, he says it so passive aggressively, like, would you like to send me what you're gonna say? I am going to wrap you on the kneecap if you ever email me instructions again. However, I think tonight we should really toast Stephen, because the success of tonight is really about his organization. I mean, seriously, his passion and his vision, I mean, he was getting us all organized. I've never met him before. I mean, he was getting us organized 2 months ago when I was at my niece's wedding and reaching out politely just to say, like, you might want to think about what you want going to say. And so, yeah, thanks to him, really. So I'm going to put my glasses on, even though I have contacts, but anyway. Okay, here we go. I'm tall, so this needs to be tall. Hello? All right. Here we have Elisabeth. Elisabeth Snowden-Kinney. This pointer will actually come in handy later, but I brought it for later. Okay, so, what a cutie, darling in her smock dress, the lips, the button nose, yet something about her eyes. She almost looks slightly nervous, like she's trying to convey a concern she has to the photographer. How do I, oh. Ah. So now we see. Sweet Elisabeth, younger sibling to 2 devilish imp brothers. 3 kids in 3 years? Her parents were busy. Starting to show her light. For anybody who ever texts Elisabeth, you will know this in emoji terms that she is fluent in. Sunburst, fire, smiling face with sunglasses, basketball on fire. Just look at her. Oops. Now we are 5 kids in 6 years. I'm the youngest. I was a mistake, apparently. Yet sweet Elisabeth was so excited when I came home from the hospital. She ran down the driveway and face planted. My dad, carrying me, put me down, U-turned to the hospital to get Elisabeth stitches in her chin. October 29th, 1961. So this is Shiver. We have a problem here. I picked her out of a litter at the church fair because my mom said I could. As the youngest kid, I had never had anything of my own. Her tail shivered when she stood up, so I named her Shiver. Elisabeth claims she named Shiver. Really? My cat. My name. Seriously. Elisabeth, you are so stubborn. And I'm finally calling you out about this publicly. Oh, did you hear that? She said she named Shiver. Right here, right now, in front of all of you wonderful people. That is not okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Our girl enters the tween years. Mom remarried. Uncle Bill had 4 kids. Think Vietnam, 1968, the draft. Sweet baby James, records playing in 8 of the 10 bedrooms in the house. A massive red peace sign sprayed on the roof, spray painted on the roof. Heroin in the house. Amidst black lights and hash oil. All I really have to say about this period is that I'm grateful to be here to celebrate my sister. Yeah, that happened too. Steps on my dad's side. Wow, look at her. Beautiful survivor. And she goes off to Berkshire and leaves the nest, thankfully for her. Okay, Elisabeth's first car. If this bug was turned off ever, it needed a mechanic to start it, or a screwdriver. which my brother Doug was handy with. I remember 4 siblings packed into this bug on our way to a Jackson Browne concert. It died on the highway in Massachusetts. That's all I remember of that night. So, just for this one, just please read. Read again. The point being, I was pissed because I went to Elisabeth's hairdresser in Portsmouth when I was visiting for the summer. She suggested I get a perm, and it's only because she wanted me to look like her. All right, who mentioned the lemonade business? E and I started a business. It was all her idea, way before Jamba Juice or any smoothies were popular. The idea was simple. Make smoothies in the morning and sell them at Prescott Park to tourists. She and I borrowed money from our dad. He appreciated our gumption, as he put it. Elisabeth's carpenter boyfriend at the time built the cart. Well, he happens to be sitting right there. John Bailey. And I actually checked with him tonight, and yes, there was a bicycle component to the cart. So she had a strong work ethic. At the time, I did not. We fought. What we had hoped to do together for the summer became a your day, my day plan. She insisted that the smoothie containers needed to be cleaned after our solo shifts. I, lazy as I was at the time, said, "No, I can clean them in the morning. They'll be ready when you're ready to go." We fought and continued to be stubborn with each other. I left town abruptly with a weird guy I was dating at the time. In a letter our dad wrote us, he officially gave the Fruit Co. assets to Elisabeth and not to me. It was shameful to me at the time, but the assets were probably just the blender, the old cart, and some plastic containers. Elisabeth, as wrong as you were about Shiver, I was wrong about Fruit Co. I admit I should have cleaned the containers the night before. Mea culpa, I was wrong, I'm sorry. This is when I need the clicker, or the pool cue. However, you guys know Portsmouth, right, pretty much? As the master planner of Fruit Co., Elisabeth, did you actually foresee how impossible it would be for even 2 of us, forget about going solo, to push this wonky refrigerated 75-pound cart this many blocks? We lived down there. I'm using the pool cue now. We lived down there. Prescott Park was 14 long blocks away. At one time we had a bike setup, as John actually attested to tonight, but that broke like immediately. So she planned this, and you were wrong. I mean, how can one little child push a 75-pound cart like 14 blocks? Do you guys get it? I'm saying I was wrong about the containers, but she was wrong about the concept. Anyway, and then there was like these 2 little girls that were like stealing all our profits. Do you remember that? No. Oh yeah, okay. Anyway, next slide. Here we are at a Heat game. Elisabeth, all kidding aside for a sec, what a ride we have had. I love you with my whole heart. I know we fight sometimes, but it's only because we expect so much from each other. I love this pic of you looking up, always positive. When you text me and I'm driving, this is what my car computer says. Smiling face with sunglasses, praying hands, exploding sun, star on fire, fire, fire.
Hey, thank you, Hillary. And we're going to cue the lights here. And there's a video that was put together with some friends of Elisabeth's too, who couldn't be here and some who are here.
Elisabeth Robinson, right? I mean, what the hell? She's like a living legend. She's a goddess among mortals. And it's such an honor to sit here tonight and watch her get the shit roasted out of her.
Do you think she has anything to fear from them roasting her?
Yes. I think she has a lot to fear. We met at the Wentworth Country Club. We were on the same tennis team. And I remember the first time I saw Elisabeth, I thought, wow, I really would not want to be playing her.
So we first met back in college. I think I guess I'll call it a romance. I think it took us both by surprise. It was, in a word, passionate.
When did you guys meet Elisabeth? When did you first meet?
I've actually never met her.
When I first moved to the Seacoast about 15 years ago, and I was interested in the nonprofit sector and the philanthropic sectors, I can't even explain to you how many people said to me, like, oh, you're interested in that? Do you know Elisabeth Robinson?
I think both of us have just sort of moved on at this point.
And it was like, oh, I'm kind of into sports. Like, oh, do you play tennis? Are you in a running club? Elisabeth Robinson, do you know Elisabeth Robinson? She plays tennis. Also, she's in a running club. I don't know how you would get into that running club, but she's in one.
So you guys went to UNH together?
That's what she tells me.
I was introduced by somebody at an event, and I remember thinking, like, this is my moment. This is it. I've arrived. We had a great conversation. I felt like we really made a connection, like Elisabeth, we're like this. There were some sparks, and I was like, this is it. We are friends. I did it. I'm here. And I felt that, and in a way that Elisabeth clearly didn't, really.
She has fantastic style, but it is unique. It's very artsy and funky. She's like not afraid to own her own sense of style.
She's a babe, but it's like so confusing because the whole situation that she puts together is like sort of chaotic.
I think Elisabeth's got a lot of style, All kidding aside, I mean, yep. I think there's style there.
I mean, let's just talk about her hair for 1 second, okay? I mean, her hair's like crazy, right? It's like a little crazy up here.
She has an artist's heart, and she looks like a hippie in a just beautiful, creative way.
If you look at her right now, she probably has some barrettes, like pulling her hair back off her face, but like there's a lot of crazy happening behind that, and she completely pulls it off. But, there could be like a small woodland creature living up there.
Another thing that we've heard is that Elisabeth can be blunt. Very candid or blunt.
You always know where she's coming from. She's not going to, side with anybody if she doesn't believe in it.
She just wants to make sure that she explains herself sometimes.
She's certainly not afraid to comment on like what you're wearing. So most of the time it's like, wow, that looks good on you. Sometimes it's more like, oh, that's interesting.
She's really honest, and I love that about her. I love that about anybody.
Why would you say that? That's really obnoxious.
These are just what some people have talked
I'm trying to give you a blunt response back.
She always talks up her friends. She's only bluntly and candidly told me a million times how amazing I am and how amazing everybody is and how I have to be connected to that other amazing person because I'm so amazing. Often, a lot of the stuff she says about you is actually not true.
Any chance of a Jay McSherry impersonation by either of you?
Oh, actually, you might be able to do it. Definitely
Jay
not me.
McSherry, let me see if I can do my best Jay McSherry.
Hey, how you doing?
Sure, I'm not sure I can get my voice raspy enough to get it down for him.
Elisabeth, she's great. Yeah.
Can you do a Jay impersonation?
Yeah, but
you don't want to do it.
I don't want to.
Fantastic. Awesome.
Hey, you want to go running? Do you run? Do you want to run with me? Do you want to go? Does your husband want to run with me? If you don't run, do you know anyone who will run with me? I'm a run. Do you want to run?
Yeah, I really like Elisabeth. She does a lot for the community.
Do you want to come to my party? Hey, I'm having a party. You want to come? You should come to my party. You should come to my party. Hey, how you doing?
I just was imitating you.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
One of the things that seems to have come up about Elisabeth is she is competitive.
I can see that in her, yeah.
Yeah.
She's talked about some of the people she's played tennis with, so I know I don't want to play with her.
I've played tennis with her once or twice early on when I first met her, and I decided I probably shouldn't ever play tennis with her again.
I don't want to start any rumors or like be part of an underground whisper mill, because I was never good enough to be on her tennis team. But let's just say, you hear things.
When I play tennis with her, I want to be either on her team if we win, I kind of run the other way if we lose.
As sweet and kind and generous as Elisabeth is, when she's on the tennis court, watch out.
I don't know anything about Elisabeth's competitiveness. I'm not actually a very competitive person myself. I think if I played Elisabeth in pickleball, I would kick her ass all over the court.
She's what do I want to say? She's a hostess with the mostest.
She has some sort of like Easter egg.
The Pasanki parties.
Elizabeth started hosting that probably 25 years ago or longer, and it's a fabulous event for women only primarily, where we dye Easter eggs and make all sorts of beautiful display of Easter eggs.
You guys ever heard about the Easter egg party?
I have gone. Typically, I go to eat and drink and socialize.
I usually don't bother about painting the eggs because I'm horribly uncreative, and I just really go to chat and drink wine, I guess.
As a male, I've never been invited to an
That's true.
Easter egg coloring thing at her house. I think these are general, gender-specific events. I find that offensive.
So Francie comes out with these like gorgeous eggs, and I come out with a hangover.
E is extraordinary. She is empathetic, she is energetic, she is efficient, economical. Basically, she's just an excellent E.
What are 5 words you have to describe Elisabeth?
Generous, vibrant, authentic, brilliant, and a healer.
You've enriched not only the lives of everyone you know, but the fabric of our community and everyone living in it.
Just the way she conducts herself, the way she's a friend, all of it.
She is an extraordinary friend. I am graced to have her in my life, and I'm glad that I stuck with it so that I think she remembers me. Do you remember me, Elizabeth? She does.
I think the world needs more opportunities to express love, and getting together to celebrate Elisabeth and to celebrate Friends Forever is an opportunity to experience more love in the world, and I'm grateful for that.
Amen.
All right. Well, we now are going to welcome someone who most everybody knows, and I'm going to make it easy. I was going to tell one quick story, which was this morning. Jay called me, and we spent some time on the phone talking about what he was going to say, and there was this pause. He said, "Are you ready?" I said, "I'm ready." I waited, and then he said, "What are you guys doing this weekend?" And so it's kind of like, Jay, like, focus. So focus, Jay. We love you, and come on up.
This is just going to be 20 minutes. That is my voice. Yeah, that is it. Tim, thank you for introducing me. Last time I was up here, I gave a crack at Tim, and his romantic life has definitely picked up. Congratulations on your marriage. Too bad your humor hasn't improved. Elisabeth Robinson, toast or roast? I thank you all for coming here tonight and joining us in a long overdue roast of Elisabeth Robinson. So that might have been if I was the first person to go, but I'm not. So I'm going to scratch that one out. I'm more of a toast guy, kind of. So roasting Elisabeth didn't come easily. I love Elisabeth. She's great, isn't she? Why didn't you give me somebody like David Hills? He'd be so easy to roast. I thought about reaching out to Ken Stevens. Where's Ken? Thank you. But after his speech at Patty's going away party, I decided I didn't want to alienate myself from the entire community. Elisabeth is so good at everything, it's intimidating. I see so many familiar faces that are near and dear to Elisabeth's heart. Thank you all for being here. You know what I forgot? Yeah, my glasses, honey. So much harder. This must also mean that those of you here tonight are not very competitive or athletic. She does not take defeat lightly. Joanne Francis is pretty sure that she wasn't invited tonight because she beat Elisabeth in a casual game of ping pong 6 years ago. Elisabeth is so helpful. I am so over it. Do you know she insisted taking care of our kids for a weekend? There happened to be a Miami Heat game going on that weekend. We're pretty sure she tied up the boys to their chairs, duct taped their mouths at 7 p.m. So her full and complete attention could be given to watching Duncan Robinson play. She's so generous, it's annoying. She's always interrupting board meetings and development meetings so she can chime in, offer up new contacts and names of sponsorships, and then offers to make the ask. How many of you actually answer the phone when Elisabeth's name pops up on the screen? Please raise your hand. All right, Elisabeth, you know who to call tomorrow. Okay, Elisabeth. Elisabeth is so grateful to have us all in her life, it makes me want to vomit. Hold on. Here's a box of thank you cards I received from her over the past 3 months. I haven't written a thank you card in the past 5 years. Mine are mostly text emojis. I'm confident you all have a thank you note from her in your mailbox when you get home tonight. So as you can see, this roasting for me isn't a walk in the park. Really what I came here to do was, drum roll please. Come on, everybody. The top 10 things that are easier than roasting Elisabeth Robinson. Getting an ice skating rink at Strawberry Bank, number 10. Number 9, being the city manager of Portsmouth right now. Number 8, opening a jazz and blues club in downtown Portsmouth. Number 7, running a half marathon. Number 6, actually writing thank you notes. Number 5, operating a dozen restaurants during a pandemic. Actually make that 10. Number 4, getting a covered stage over at Prescott Park. Number 3, coming to an agreement on what we should do with the McIntyre building. Number 2, me just sitting down and shutting up. And the number 1 easier thing to do than roast Elisabeth Robinson is to toast Elisabeth Robinson. So please raise your glass for our community marathoner. She is passionate about the community and has been a key player in making the city so vibrant. Elisabeth, you truly are a force of nature, which Jamie said at the beginning, and I didn't get to edit. And we love you dearly. Congratulations.
All right. Nice job, Jay. And now we're going to ask Elisabeth's daughter, Marta, who is freshly back from Greece on her honeymoon, and the newest member of the family, Scott, is out here. Yep. Handsome devil. And so Marta, I asked Duncan, I said, I got to get up here and introduce, and so Duncan said to me via text, he said, Marta, she always used to basically kind of be another mom to Eli and I, and she's always been that way. It used to be really annoying. So both your brothers are here tonight and welcoming you up to celebrate your mom. So here's Marta.
Okay, this is fun. All right. So before I begin, can you hear me? Okay. Before I begin, I just want to reiterate what Jay said and make note of how difficult it is to roast Elisabeth Robinson. Hillary and I lamented last night. She is the most bright, loving, Pollyanna human we know. My husband Scott told me that my roast wasn't roasty enough, spoken like a true son-in-law. So we will call this a soft roast with a lot of love, and hopefully you're all liquored up enough that you'll laugh at my jokes. So it is an honor and a privilege to stand here today and roast my mother. While Hillary has me beat in the category of knowing Elisabeth the longest, I think I have everyone beat in the category of knowing Elisabeth the best. I mean, I did reside in her womb at one point in time. Due to this honor, I am going to take you all through the facets of Elisabeth's life that mean the most to her. Let's begin. Career. We all know that Elisabeth is probably the most badass nurse practitioner on the seacoast. Sorry, Travis. As her child, when you are approached by friends and sometimes strangers with the greeting, "Your mom is my doctor," it is really hard to find a good response to that. "Oh, good." That's so nice. Are usually my go-tos, but honestly, where is this conversation supposed to go from there? All I can think about is this individual lying on an exam table, and that's just awkward. HIPAA protocols also seem to have little meaning when she and I are standing in the Starbucks line post-yoga, and a supposed patient approaches her and starts thanking her for the penicillin to treat strep throat or the Ativan that helped them board their flight to Maui. Oh, the rigors of seacoast mental health. She is always pleasant and receptive, and I tend to turn away, pretending like we aren't related. In my head, all I am thinking is, my goodness, all she wants is her mocha decaf with whipped cream that she drinks 365 days a year in order to keep Starbucks in business. The truth is, it was always normal as a child coming down the stairs on Saturday morning, wiping sleep from my eyes, only to find a random family friend on the kitchen counter getting vaccinated or having their ears examined. The party favor for stopping by was often a diagnosis or script of something good. Sorry, if you're going to come to our house to get treated, no privacy will be maintained. Board involvement. The next closest passion to her career is Elisabeth's passion to giving back to the community. Elisabeth is on 6 boards. That is 6 boards, people. I have never met anyone that loves to sit in meetings more than this woman. Let's be clear, at her highest, the count was 12. She would sometimes have 3 meetings a day on top of doing her daily run and yoga, working, watching some sporting event, going to some party, and then being home in time to sit down for family dinner where she had a goblet of Chardonnay. I can't even find time to exercise and walk the dog. The unique quality about these boards and their organizations is that they all do different things. Healthcare, education, arts, banking, and parties. That would be the surf club, where she serves as El Prez, the president. I mean, it is truly the buffet of boards. Take your pick, you get a little bit of everything. The one that seems to be the most out of her wheelhouse is Piscataqua Savings Bank. I mean, before on this board, she didn't even have an email account. We all know Elisabeth is not one for finance. The woman loves to shop and spend money. Has she ever let you pay for a dinner out? Doubt it. The equivalent of Elisabeth serving on a bank board is like the Dalai Lama in Trump's cabinet. Did I mention that when the Tibetan monks came to the music hall, Elisabeth hosted all 10 of them at our house and bombed around town in her Isuzu Trooper with all 10 piled in the back, dressed in full garb? To this day, when Piscataqua Bank schedules next month's meeting, everyone pulls out their iPhone. Elisabeth pulls out her paper calendar. Perhaps the board membership that takes the most patience is the surf club. When I say this is an exercise in patience, I mean what I say. We have been on numerous family vacations on the beach in Martha's Vineyard, at a hiking hut at the top of the White Mountains, or looking at a waterfall in Miami, or Maui. As I wrote Maui, but I had Miami on the brain, clearly. When Elisabeth has had to take an urgent call about an underage member sneaking alcohol again from the bar. She approaches it with calm resolve and a diplomatic nature, while all of us kids look at each other, roll our eyes, and think, God, it's like the surf club had the Kennedys draw up their code of conduct. Travel. Elisabeth is certainly a citizen of the world and loves to explore. As you know, she just hiked Machu Picchu last Saturday. When asked how it was, she said, yeah, I'm not going to do that again. If you plan to go on vacation with her, please prepare yourself. There is no sleeping in. You will have walked and yogaed by 9 a.m. You will be to your first activity by 9:30. Oh, you're spending a week on a beautiful remote island with the best beaches in the world? Well, Elisabeth will do you one better. She will leave paradise to find paradise. Yes, you will leave that said island to go to a better, more remote island with a better beach. Yes, this is how it goes. Your vacation will be scheduled and include a lot of ritual. I lived in San Francisco for 8 years. My mom's entire family has lived in San Francisco for 30 years. Elisabeth has been to San Francisco about 50 times. I guarantee you, she has walked the Golden Gate Bridge 50 times. I will do the math for you. That's 170 miles on the Golden Gate Bridge. And if you have ever seen her walking the causeway at 6 a.m. in Newcastle with her spiritual arm gestures that look something like this, I can also verify that those gestures were used all 170 miles of the Golden Gate Bridge. People, family, and friends. Let's be real. I have saved the most important for last. Stating the obvious, Elisabeth is an extrovert. She is the person that will have a small, intimate gathering for 150 on a Tuesday night in her garden. However, the guest list includes your friend's coworker's mother who is new to town and wants to meet people. She loves her friends. Oh my, she loves all 100 of her best friends. And she really loves her family. Perhaps her biggest idiosyncrasies emerge during basketball games. Let me be clear, it doesn't matter if it was my high school JV game where we went undefeated, Eli's competitive AAU team, or Duncan's current NBA games. Things get weird. She sits in her seat, perfect posture, shoulders back, hands on her lap, with palms up, facing to the heavens. This is her channeling the higher spirits to help win the game. And oftentimes, if you listen closely enough, there is a very low chanting, whoosh, 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 whoosh. And she's chanting something like, you got this, you got this, you got this, you got this. Or, let go, let God, let go, let God, let go, let God. Or, we win, we win, we win. Or, you make the three, you make the three, you make the three. It's like, what? I will leave you with one final story that encompasses Elisabeth perfectly. We were in Maui for the NCAA Maui Invitational when Duncan was playing for Michigan. As most of you know, the Kinney, or maybe you don't know, I don't know, the Kinney Robinson family boasts a Hawaiian heritage of some sort. There is something about a great-great-grandfather having an affair with a local Hawaiian piano teacher, and they had a bastard son. That bastard son happens to be my great-grandfather. Anyways, we're Hawaiian. Michigan loses the game at the buzzer beater to LSU. A very tough loss. One of those ones that just stings. We pile in the car and we all start to process the loss on the drive home to the other side of Maui. Elisabeth is stone-faced and quiet. After about 20 minutes, I say, Mom, are you okay? She takes a deep, deep breath, sighs, and states, I am really disappointed in the ancestors tonight. I guess our Hawaiian blood didn't bring the juju. Well, everyone, we have a heat tip-off at 10 p.m. tonight, and we all know who the most important person in this family is. Not myself, not her, the man you're going to be hearing from next. So I'm going to wrap this up to Elisabeth, a mother, a sister, a friend, a nurse practitioner, a citizen of the world, and an amazing figure in this community. Thank you for being you and all you do.
Thank you. We are now going to hear from Duncan, and I know Eli and Marta welcome his quick remarks via video, and he wishes he could be here. And cue the video, please. Thank you.
I want to start off by apologizing to you all for the fact that I am not able to attend such an incredible event. As I've gotten older, I've only further realized how special of a community the Seacoast is, and it's events like these and people like you all that make it this way. Thank you all for coming out tonight to support my incredible mother and her many philanthropic endeavors. And now for the roast. I'd like to clarify, what you just heard my sister say was not at all a roast. It was one compliment after another, masked in the occasional tongue-in-cheek remark. I plan on taking an entirely different approach to mine, one that is a little more, say, poignant. Let me first say this: being the son of Elisabeth Robinson is not all it's cracked up to be. While my mother has chosen an activity-packed life, as her child, this same lifestyle was one that was thrust upon me. I learned from an early age that whether I liked it or not, my days would frequently toe the line of chaos. If there was an activity offered within a 20-mile radius of our household, I can almost guarantee that I was signed up for it at some point. Saxophone lessons from 5th grade all the way through high school. Piano lessons, 8 years of it. Choir, obviously. Art classes, you bet. White Pine, Adventure Club, knitting, crochet, finger knitting, eurythmy, and so on and so on. By the way, I'm sure a lot of you don't even know what eurythmy is, and that alone speaks volumes. What takes the activity cake, though, was the 5-hour-long manners and etiquette class my mom forced myself and several of my 8th grade classmates to back in 2008. This event just so happened to fall on the same evening as Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, Celtics versus Cavs. I missed every single second of the game. My night toiling away as I got lectured about the different kind of ways to fold a napkin when setting a table. Mom, that one was and always will be unforgivable. Did any of you happen to notice that amidst my list, I didn't mention a single sport? Well, rest assured, she made sure I did all of those too. Let me quickly paint this picture for you. The year is 2006, and I'm finishing up my saxophone lesson at MHT. Following its conclusion, I'm shuttled over to Rye Rec with a group of friends just in time for a 3:30 lacrosse practice. 5 o'clock comes, and while the rest of my team heads to their respective homes for the evening, I grab my tightly packed Nike duffel that I've been lugging around all day and rush over to the bathroom to quickly change clothes for my baseball practice that I am now officially running late for. Thankfully, the diamond is only a stone's throw away, so I don't miss too much action. 90 minutes goes by, and I'm picked up by my mom, snack in hand and basketball gear in the back seat. We shoot off to Exeter to cap off the day with the 7 to 9 p.m. AAU basketball practice, only to then finally head home, cram in some studying, and call it a day. We go to sleep, we wake up, and we repeat. I learned so much from my youth athletic experiences: the value of hard work, the importance of being a good teammate, how to handle adversity, and so much more. But one life lesson was pressed upon me more than any other throughout my early days as an athlete. Whatever you do, do not, under any circumstances, embarrass your mother while you're out there. Mind you, I could never embarrass her with an in-game blunder or lack of playing time. She was always in my corner supporting me through those types of challenging moments. The only way to embarrass my mom was through pouting, whining, or being a bad sport when things weren't going my way. Now, I'm not sure how many of you knew me as a kid, but if you did, you can likely grasp why this one caveat would be a serious point of contention between her and a younger version of myself. Simply put, I was an absolutely horrific loser. And it was fairly common for me to put this bad attitude on public display during my various sporting events. She would refer to my poor sportsmanship as, quote, episodes, giving me a detailed report after every game of all the moments I, quote, acted like a spoiled brat. As I've gotten older, I've learned that this less than admirable trait of mine was not something I developed on my own, but instead was something that I inherited. And as irony would have it, it was passed down to me by the very woman who used to berate me for it. That's right. My mother might be the only person on this planet who is a worse loser than I am. Watch as a wonderful evening between the two of us implodes after a contentious game of gin rummy or backgammon. And it all stems from this twisted mix of extreme stubbornness and competitive fire. But of course, it is this hard-headed nature and relentless spirit that makes her a fiercely loyal friend and an impassioned community leader. We all know that her heart and giving nature truly knows no bounds. She inspires me daily with her joyous approach to life and her unwavering service to others. Congratulations, Mom, on being acknowledged for this award. You are so incredibly deserving. Continue to be the light in this community that you have been for so long. We are all better people because of it. So at this time, I would like everyone to raise a glass in honor of my mother, Elisabeth Robinson. Thank you for providing a shining example of what it means to serve others.
Okay. This is closing, so this is good. Although I think he's going to. Well, wow. Let me take a moment. I am both humbled and daunted by this award. Maxine is here. Maxine is the epitome of a force. Despite her petite stature, she has a lioness ethos and presence. Her ripple effect can be felt today, and it is certainly in this room. When Jim and Jamie asked me about this award, Maxine was very much present. When I first spoke with Steve Martineau, we spoke of Maxine. And yet what I remember most about her is her grace, politics, and big heart. I would also like to thank Eileen Foley. I knew her not very well. We had a few interactions, including her marrying two friends of mine. I gave the wedding story, and she made it a point to approach me and compliment my sentiments. She was both gracious and kind. Mary Carey and Barry Foley very kindly wrote me a note when I received this award. I was grateful for that warm reach out, a touch of class and kind spirit. No surprise. Thank you, Foley family. I am not here by thin air. I've had many mentors, many of whom are here tonight. Philanthropy has also been mentored to me by my wise and wonderful father, Doug Kinney, and my big-hearted, lively, and fun aunt, Bobby Sweet. Their respective generosity and interests have inspired and morphed me through the years. They are respectively generous, yet discerning. My honing my case for this or that nonprofit so that they would support was a high bar to aspire to. My mother, Martha North, was also a philanthropist, not by funds, but by her big heart in her years as a dedicated nurse in both a pain clinic and in hospice. And finally, my kids, Marta, Eli, and Duncan. Their generosity of spirit and kindness many times takes my breath away. They inspire me to be the best version of myself that I can be. I also have to thank each and every one of you here tonight. I am fully aware that you all have busy lives. While I am daunted by asking you to come out, it has been heartening with each of your enthusiastic and loving responses. I am so blessed and grateful. I know it sounds unlikely as there are so many of you, but truly each of you mean the world to me. The collective persuasive force in this room is impressive. We, all of us together, can move mountains. Friends Forever embraces a daily effort in creating programs, conversations, and experiences to break down age-old assumptions and misunderstandings. Why is Friends Forever so essential in today's time? Technology is impressive, yet it can also silo us. We, with varying religions, politics, ethnicities, identities, can lose the connectivity that creates communities. Connectivity/love is not only healthy, it is essential. A we is much more powerful than the I. The social calculus of 2 + 2 = 5, 6, or 7. We have technology, intelligences, resources, tools for communication and media, and we have huge challenges in racism, sexism, education, bias, prejudice, and environmental crisis. As programs like Friends Forever earnestly work to unfold and destruct the barriers, we find that working together is much more effective, compassionate, and quite honestly, fun. If we listen to each other and have compassion for one another's perspective, we can create joy, intention, and love. This is what will move our challenging modern mountains. This award has created much reflection for me, and those near and dear to me are involved. When I asked Jay to be one of the roasters, he said, well, there's a lot of material. And then when Marta called me to clarify a few details, she texted, this is so easy to write. That's what worried me. I'm supposed to roast my roaster, but I cannot. My high school friends, my dear and lively sister, my talented and dynamic community friends, my audacious and fearless aunt. I could perhaps do Jamie and Jim, but in their respective roasts, they have been skewered just fine. I would also like to thank Steve Martineau and Amelia Burke. Both are tireless, accommodating, enthusiastic, and warm-hearted. They are the perfect leaders/mentors for this endeavor as they set a high and authentic bar for all the students. In closing, I'd like to share a Waldorf verse that we as a family would recite for dinner's grace through the years. It's quite simple, but I feel it reflects the simplicity and the power of Friends Forever mission. It goes like this, it goes, peace is a dream, how close it seems when you put your hand in mine and say, we are all people of one clay. We share one earth, we share one sun. May we all share peace as one. Bless you all and bless our vibrant community. Thank you.